Welcome back to the Bobby Dupre Show, and of course this is the second quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. My sidekick, Andrew.
Good morning.
You ready to get another quarter in? Well, let's thank our technician, our producer of the show from now on, by the way. It'll be Steve.
Thank you, Steve, for the oranges. Every year we always brag because Steve gets his good oranges, and he's handled the website for quite some time for the Bobby Dupre Show, and he also is going to be our producer now that Mark is going to be moving on at the end of the month. And we want to thank Mark for all that time helping us as well.
He really, I mean, anything we asked of him, and we're going to get the same service out of Steve because Steve has
worked with us
on the show several times, and what he doesn't know, I can help teach him.
Sure.
I'll coach him.
I mean, you've been in television now how many years?
12 years. We're working on our 12th year.
There you go. It's a long haul.
That's right. That's correct.
And I want to remind folks, if you go to the website for KDCG, on the front page, there's a link that says Video on Demand. If you're looking for the Bobby Dupre Show, the latest show is not always updated on the Bobby Dupre Show page. When you go into the thing, you look at the older shows there. If you're looking for the latest show, that Video on Demand link right on the front, it's always up by Thursday morning.
7 a.m.
Right.
Thursday morning.
So you click on Video on Demand, you can get any of our shows right there, nice, easy, and quick.
And we want to thank Matt and the folks over at Delta Media in Carencro for working to get this back running as smooth as possible. You want to talk about one sponsor right away?
Well, sure, Dixie Storage, all your storage needs. If you're in a bind, maybe you got to move out your warehouse and move into another one. They've got plenty of storage room. I know a lot of places, you know, you might be in somewhere, you got a good rate for a while, like, I want to move something closer here. Maybe you got to move your inventory around a little bit. They can handle all that. Dixie Storage can do inventory control for you. They also have their sister company, Dixie Trucking, that will move loads between the different warehouses. They've got railroad spur access to some of their warehouses. They've got huge loading docks that the 18-wheelers can back straight up into. They've got all those fancy forklifts.
They've got the nice facility for if you want to have a reception or party of some sort.
The McCormick reception, it handles over 350 people. It's got a fully restaurant kitchen inside as well. Very nice. And don't forget their sister company, A+ Glass, with locations in Lafayette and here in Annapolis. They can do all your glass work, personal, commercial, and auto. And truck inspections, big truck inspections, 18-wheelers and all. Car inspections too.
And cars.
All right.
All right. Well, let's go to a couple of pictures. I said pictures when we were ending the first quarter.
How about this one? And
this is a gentleman that I met sitting near me one night about 10 days ago at the Palace Cafe. One night, and this gentleman is called, let's see what he calls himself, Doug Stelly, but he calls himself, everybody calls him Cajun because he moved up to a little bitty town in Bald Knob, Arkansas. Okay. And maybe it's not that little. It just sounds like it would be a be a little nest like they have in these mountainous communities. And he, of course, had a big restaurant in Abbeville. He's originally from Abbeville. Really? Had a successful business. Then when the downturn came in the oil industry.
Back in the 80s.
In the 80s, it affected him. So he just uprooted and moved over there and has a great business going. He says he sells real Cajun food prepared by real Cajuns. And I said, well, what brings you here? It was like maybe a Monday night. And he says, well, I've come here to pick up crawfish. I said, really? He says, you ever hear of Dwayne Smith? I said, yeah, from just west of Lawtell. He says, you know him? I said, know him well. He says, boy, he does a good job. He says, I've been coming here and getting my crawfish. And he says, what about this place, Targill? You ever hear of them? I said, they're not only here. I said, they're one of my sponsors on my TV program. He said, what are you talking about, a TV program? Well, I hope that Cajun Boy is watching the program this morning. Real fine, typical Cajun, very open about it. And I had my little hat that I wore the other day, the little cap, what y'all call it, a British style cap?
Yeah.
A little flat. That's what he usually wears. He said, I don't usually wear the
ball cap,
the baseball cap. He says, usually I have one of those on. So we got along good from there.
let's talk about, you want to talk about Target while we're on the topic?
Yep, let's talk about one of our sponsors.
Look at the new sign.
Look at the new sign
it's a shaker can for seasoning.
That's right, and it's typical of Ted. It's beautiful, it's well done, it's very tasteful for the industry he's in. Right. And of course, you can get your name on a can of this very, very inexpensively. You can have 1,000 made, 2,000, 5,000, depending on how big your billfold is.
They can handle all the artwork for you. If you got your own artwork, they'll do that too. It doesn't matter if you're a business trying to do it for your business, if you're a store maybe that wants to do it. I know a lot of people do it for family reunions. They get a picture of the whole big family and they do it at family reunions to give out to all their friends, or maybe just give away for promotional. They'll do all that for you, either with your own recipe or one of the recipes that they have in-house.
That is correct. So
Target seasoning, butcher supplies, kitchen supplies, and baking supplies right here in Opelousas.
Doug Cajun Stelly, thanks for and hope you watching the program this morning. Give me a call sometime. You've got my business card. And
how about this picture? You had your quilt on this morning. We talk about the Opelousas Area Cerebral Palsy Clinic.
Yep, and they made a quilt for me probably 10, 12 years ago. And I say that, and it's probably at least that long, well, about that long, because one of the names is Connor. And Connor's now, about 15 years old, and he was probably 4 or 5 when this was done. So again, I use this, and then of course that's laying on the bed, and then I use Coach Kermit Couvillon gave me a blanket, an OHS blanket from Letterman. I had already had the jackets and already had the sweaters, so he wanted to do something different, and he gave a 17-year-old boy a blanket. Well, that didn't go over too well, but that was in 1955, and I still have the blanket, and I still use it. Miss Rose, good morning to you. Miss Rose, of course, is Coach Couvillon's beautiful wife, and I haven't talked to you in a good while, so good morning to you, and I still think about how good you and Coach were to me then and still are today.
If you want to help the Opelousas Area Cerebral Palsy Clinic, you can send us a donation to Breakfast with Santa, P.O. Box 70, Opelousas, Louisiana, 70571. We're still taking donations.
We need some donations. I'm asking y'all.
We're trying to get him to spend some money. We're at about 46. We're trying to get to 47.5. We need your help. Please get us there. We'll get to 47.5. He's got to come up with an additional
$5,000. Y'all make me spend that money. Please, please.
How about some more pictures?
Okay, let's some more pictures real quick. Went to Winfield Camp and had a good time. Got there Thursday afternoon and went to, I'm riding the four-wheeler right here, and I stopped long enough to take these pictures. And look the beautiful sunset. This gorgeous weather we've been having, and Chief's on the cell phone. Must have been able to get a little reception out there. He's smiling, probably talking to the little wife back home. Good morning. And we went into town to eat breakfast one morning, and we stopped in at Uncle Earl's Pea Patch Cafe and Antiques.
Yep,
and really a beautiful store right downtown Winfield. And these ladies here were laughing at me for buying the Pelican. And I look how beautiful that Pelican is. Now what I need is a nice sign that says Louisiana, and it can have something written about Louisiana or just an old sign. If anybody out there listening has one, if you don't want to give it to me, I'll buy it from you. But I love my Pelican, and then I'm going to name these ladies. These ladies, Miss Frances Sweat from Joyce, Betty McCassell from Weston, Patsy Barton from Joyce, and Penny Culpepper from Weston. Now, all of these are full sisters.
Right.
And they were waiting for their sister-in-law, and she got there. Right. And the sister-in-law is Carolyn Barber, and part of the Barber family. Really a beautiful, beautiful time I had in that store. These ladies were friendly, and they could understand me, and I could understand them. And hopefully they're watching the program this morning.
And the reason why it's called Uncle Earl's Pea Patch, for those of y'all that don't know Louisiana history, is when Earl Long, when he ran for governor and was governor, he'd always talk about going back to his Pea Patch farm. That's what he talked about up there in Winfield.
And they have they still have the pea patch farm out there.
I don't know how much farming he did
Well,
during the political years, but it made a good story when you're on the
He
campaign
probably
trail.
had some
Pigs out there. Maybe.
convict doing some trustee work for him.
That too, that's right.
You know, that's been known to happen back in those days. And here's the hog trap. They really get into the hog trap business big time. And of course, on the right, you can't recognize him, but Jimmy Prados all covered up, Ray Bello, and of course, big tall Chief, who is Charles Kessinger. Of course, when we talk about Chief.
Well, look at you, Chief.
And I'm
Another
wrapped
Chief.
up. It was cold Friday, and when you get up to about 30, 35 miles an hour,
It gets cold at night,
that temperature kind of goes down.
I see. Well,
And
look at the
one of the
trail. I've heard it.
trails, oh, it's beautiful, beautiful.
There's
We
the
have a
hog
great
trap
time.
again.
Another hog trap. And here's Mr. Ray Hargrave. He's from New Iberia. He hunts on a different lease, but in the same large lease that 3 or 4 groups lease this property out. And he's quite a character. And he's talking to Chief right there. And this is Saturday morning when I was leaving. I was kind of hungry, hadn't eaten anything. Stopped in at Bo's Pro Burger. David's Pro Burger. And this lady here is Miss Khan, and I've got a little story about Miss Khan. Where's my, right here. Her husband is called Slim. He's about 6'4", I understand, and he couldn't get in a, she lives about 40 miles from Winfield, but the nearest nursing home that the VA would pay for was in Winfield. So 2 or 3 times a week, she drives down and she goes and gets a sandwich with David. And David told me how fine a lady she is. She is something else. She was a hunter. This year, she only killed a couple of deer, but she used to kill 5 or 6 of them, and had a lease of 5,000 acres. And then she'd sublease to hunters.
No kidding.
But with the husband out of commission in the nursing home, she had to give it up. But you could tell she didn't give up the hunting. The hunting is still in her. And here's a picture. I've been talking to David. And David, of course, is not just owner of this little cafe we eat at regularly, but when I attend the Catholic Church, he's in the choir in the Catholic Church and helps out in maintaining the building and everything else. Fine, fine folks over there. And I called Mrs. Bert Thibodeau, who I met at the Catholic Church, and she's got roots, of course, her husband right here in Church Point, Louisiana. So we have a good time when we go down there, and the Catholic Church, the priest is now in Nigeria visiting his family. And I gave him a little token appreciation for what he does for the community over there, because they don't have a lot of Catholic churches when you cross Alexandria.
Right, right. Mostly with the Cajuns down south.
Cajuns down south. But he is a real nice guy. He sent me a nice thank you, as well as Father Ron over in Jasper, Texas. I sent him his little contribution last week. I've already got a thank you from him. So Father Ron, if you happen to be watching the program, good morning to you. Keep up the good work. He ministers at 4 Catholic churches.
Man.
I met him in Kerrville.
While we're talking about the church business, this weekend is the pro-life walk at Our Lady Queen of Angels. They start a little before 10 o'clock in the church. They'll have a little talk and people visiting. And from there, they'll leave at 10 o'clock and after the 10 o'clock talk and walk all the way to the Ladies New Life Center. Come out. If you can't make the whole walk, come at least hear the speakers talk. Be a nice time. All put together by Mr. and Mrs. John Mill over here in town, who do such a good job. They've done it now for, I guess, 20 plus years. So come on out. And we're going to have to, we're almost on a break.
It's another break.
It's
another
about
break.
that time. So we're going to.
We have quite a few more pictures to go over, and we've got a lot of good things to talk about. In fact, we're going to even talk to the President of the United States.
Go. Stay tuned.